Okay, Billy Mitchell wins lawsuit against YouTuber Karl Jobst, ordered to pay the sum of $350,000 in damages. Damn. The court case was based on Karl's accusation that Billy Mitchell's legal actions led to the self-unaliving of fellow YouTuber Apollo Legend. The judge ruled in Mitchell's favor. Hugely annoyed that Karl Jobst misled everyone on what this trial was actually about. I was shocked when I saw the verdict because I was under the impression it was about the cheating scandal, which would have been insane if he lost. This is not really good looking for Karl. What on earth is he thinking? I don't know, bro. I feel like in America, is that just an Australian thing? I feel like in America, you'd be a douche for saying it, or leading people to believe that, but I just don't know if that would be... I don't know. You think in America you'd get in trouble for insinuating stuff like that? Freaking Hassan insinuates way worse stuff, and he doesn't get freaking sued. This verdict makes sense. Jobst falsely claimed that Billy Mitchell caused another person to commit self-unaliving because they owed him settlement money, when no settlement money existed. Knowingly lying about material facts to blame Mitchell for somebody's death is obviously defamatory, and Jobst made a huge part of his YouTube career falsely reporting the details of the trial, and claiming the lawsuit was purely about whether or not Mitchell cheated at Donkey Kong. Yeah, I feel like didn't he already lose that court trial? Wasn't that already a thing? He got extra penalized because he kept making videos in the lawsuit, which is kind of insane. I don't know, it's interesting. The more I think about it, I'm just like... I guess what would be the laws over there for stuff like that, free speech? Because here, of course, in LA, in America, right, in general, in LA, you like there is definitely certain speech that's not protected, no matter what. Of course, you can't shout fire in a movie theater. You can't shout, explosivo in a freaking airport, stuff like that. It's a very interesting case. Let's see if we can find like a full stream of it. I wonder if and how he's going to, Karl specifically is going to address this. Tommy C's SFTP, what is this? They really took down the freaking live stream as soon as it freaking went up? Oh, here it is. It says DMCA this. Let's see, this might be it. Oh! Okay, here we go.
This report of Queensland in civil jurisdiction is in session. Please be seated.
Call matter, please.
Visual dog, one version out of board for the pre-judgment.
Yes, I might have appearances because I was seeking submissions afterwards.
May it please the court, my name is Summers, SOMERS, initial...
Can I also ask, I don't know, sorry, I'll let it keep playing. What I don't know,
Plaintiff.
Thank you.
Did Karl, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know about Karl accusing Billy Mitchell of that, I would say this, I didn't even know, that other YouTuber, like, I didn't know about that YouTuber situation at all. I didn't even know that YouTuber unalived himself.
It's taken so long since the trial to do so. As the parties will realise, the trial raised a lot of factual and legal issues. but they may not realise that I also had a number of other commitments during the months since the trial. What I'm about to say is a summary of my reasons for judgment. I expect it'll take about half an hour. This summary should not be taken as a substitute for my full reasons, which will be published on the Queensland Court's website, together with a shorter summary
Okay.
later today.
Let me know if the audio's good on the, this guy's a little bit low.
Mitchell III, commonly known as Billy Mitchell, lives in Florida, United States of America. He has been well known among adherents of video and arcade gaming in many countries, including Australia, since 1982. At an arcade and video gaming competition in November that year that took place in Ottumwa, Iowa, USA, playing an arcade game called Donkey Kong, Mr. Mitchell scored a world record 874,300 points and was the first person ever recorded as reaching the kill screen, that is, reaching the end of the game. At the time, he was 17 years of age. Mr. Mitchell went on to be recognised as having achieved a number of world records and world firsts in video and arcade gaming. They included achieving the first perfect score of 3,333,360 in another game called Pac-Man in 1999, setting a new world record and the first score of over 1 million points, the record being 1,047,200 points in Donkey Kong in June 2005, another Donkey Kong world record of 1,050,200 points.
I will say, I'm not
July
sure which of the Donkey
2007,
Kongs was the one he cheated
and a
on.
third Donkey Kong world record of 1,062,800 points in July 2010. Those records were recognised by such bodies as Guinness World Records and Twin Galaxies, which is an American company that organises gaming competitions and keeps a database of records and rankings across various gaming platforms.
Twin Galaxies is basically the record holder, the one that the people that were like basically in charge of whether or not he would keep his record or not.
Having cheated in achieving his Donkey Kong world records by allegedly using computer emulation software instead of original arcade hardware. Twin Galaxies investigated the accusation, and in April 2018, it announced that it had concluded that two of Mr. Mitchell's world record scores were not produced by the direct feed output of an original, unmodified Donkey Kong arcade printed circuit board or PC.
Oh, it was two of them? I thought it was just one. I thought it was one and two of them were fine.
CB. It was not able to determine whether the third score was produced on original arcade gaming hardware or with the use of emulation software. As a consequence of its findings, it announced that it had decided to remove all of Mr. Mitchell's scores and to ban him from participating in its competitive leaderboards. The following day, Guinness World Records announced that as a consequence of Twin Galaxies' decision, it too had disqualified Mr. Mitchell as the holder of all his records, both in Donkey Kong and in Pac-Man. Mr. Mitchell commenced proceedings in the United States for defamation against Twin Galaxies and a number of others. One of those lawsuits was against a young man, Benjamin Smith, who was known online as Apollo Legend. I refer to him as Apollo Legend in my reasons. He published videos on YouTube about gaming, including a number in which he accused Mr. Mitchell of cheating, falsifying his Donkey Kong scores, and not using legitimate gaming hardware. Mr. Mitchell and Apollo Legend settled that proceeding on 22 August 2020. Their agreement relevantly provided that Apollo Legend would remove all of his YouTube videos and social media posts that referred to Mr. Mitchell. He would assign the copyright in those YouTube videos to Mr. Mitchell, and he would permanently cease producing any oral, written, or electronic documents or communications that in any way mentioned or referred to Mr. Mitchell or his family, apart from making an agreed statement in terms provided in the settlement agreement. Any breach by Apollo Legend of the last of these obligations would result in him being liable to Mr. Mitchell for $25,000 US for each breach.
This feels very, it feels very scary that...
Unless he committed such a breach, he did not have to pay Mr. Mitchell any money.
I guess, what exactly was Apollo saying? Or was it just because he criticized him, he was able to get sued?
Apollo Legend appears to have complied with that agreement. However, on 20 December 2020, he published a video on YouTube, referred to in this proceeding as his goodbye video, in which he told viewers that he was recording his final video. He said, "This is the end of my life," and he explained why. In that video, he did not mention Mr. Mitchell, nor the claim against him or the settlement agreement. Shortly after publishing it, he committed suicide.
Got it. I mean, yeah, you could definitely not prove without the shadow of a doubt that the Billy Mitchell and that whole lawsuit or situation, no matter how stressful that could be or anything like that, you can't prove that that would theoretically have had any effect or would have affected the outcome, so to speak. And frankly, I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about, like,
The defendant,
how I
Karl
feel about all
Jobst,
this
lives
verdict.
in Queensland. He regularly publishes videos on YouTube, mostly about speedrunning, but also about video and arcade gaming world.
Like, I'm definitely one of those people that's like, I think you should absolutely be able to talk about anything. Of course, you should be called out if you're making lies, misinformation, stuff like that. But if something's an opinion specifically, that feels different to me. But I can understand that if Karl was going out there, putting it out, making it seem like it was a fact, I could definitely see why the court gave it to Billy here.
Records and people who cheat in those games.
If he was like maliciously
He has over 1
trying
million
to
followers on his YouTube channel.
make it seem like that
On
was
26
specifically a
May
direct reason, you get me?
2021, He published a video about Mr. Mitchell and another video gamer, Todd Rogers, entitled "The Biggest Conmen in Video Game History Strike Again." He accused Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Rogers of cheating and of pursuing unmeritorious litigation against people who had accused them of cheating. He also said the following about Mr. Mitchell, quote, "He also sued YouTuber Apollo Legend for $1 million. I haven't spoken about this publicly, but this lawsuit ultimately ended with Apollo giving in and settling with Mitchell. He was forced to remove all his videos about Mitchell's cheating and paid him a large sum of money. This left him deeply in debt."
So that's what I want to know. Because if the lawsuit was just about him criticizing Billy and making videos about Billy's cheating, I fully disagree with him, like, giving in and having all that taken down. It sets a very
It
bad
required him
precedent.
to find extra work, but with his ongoing health issues, this was all too much of a burden, and he ultimately took his own life. Not that Billy Mitchell would ever care, though. In fact, when Billy Mitchell thought Apollo died earlier, he expressed joy at the thought. The lawsuit against Apollo was just as frivolous as the rest, and Apollo definitely would have won in court. But again, he was extremely ill and couldn't handle the ongoing stress. End quote. That video containing that passage was online for 10 days from 26 May 2021 to 4 June 2021, and for an additional 5 days from 9 June to 13 June 2021. In between those dates, and since 13 June 2021, the video has remained online, but it contains only the first 2 sentences and the last sentence of the passage that I have just read. While the video was first online in its full version, 2 relevant events occurred. First, on 3 June 2021, Mr. Mitchell published his own YouTube video in response to Mr. Jobst's video. He denied as lies the assertion that Apollo Legend had paid him any money as part of the settlement, or that he had had any involvement with Apollo Legend that had led him to commit suicide. He asserted that Mr. Jobst had effectively accused him of murder. He ended the video by saying, quote, "I plan to respond the way that everybody anticipates for me to respond. And Karl, expect me." End quote. The second relevant event is that a mutual acquaintance of Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Jobst, known online as Keemstar, contacted Mr. Jobst At Mr.
Oh, freak! How the frick is Keemstar involved in this? What the hell? He shows up in everything.
Mitchell's request, and told him that it was not true that Apollo Legend had paid Mr. Mitchell any money. Mr. Jobst agreed to take down that part of the video while he investigated that issue further. While not taking it all down, he only left up the first and last sentences of the passage that I have read. He then emailed Apollo Legend's brother to ask him whether Apollo Legend had to pay any money to Mr. Mitchell as part of the
If the waterfall freaking...
Mr. Mitchell's lawyers
Sorry.
then served a concerns
I think
notice on
my
Mr.
little turtle's
Jobst,
waterfall is like...
asserting that he had
audible.
defamed Mr. Mitchell. In response, Mr. Jobst posted that letter on Twitter, claiming it to be very exciting and that any action would be an amazing experience. He then reinstated the original version of the video on his YouTube channel. It was not until 13 June 2021 that Apollo Legend's brother informed Mr. Jobst that Apollo Legend had not paid any money to Mr. Mitchell. Mr.
I have to
Jobst
say-
then altered the video again.
I don't want to pause too much, right? But I do have to say that right there makes this case a whole lot more like changes a lot of it. Is the fact that he made the claim that Billy basically put this man on debt. And absolutely, if you get put on debt for something like that, it could definitely put a lot of mental stress on you, a lot of mental strain. So I could definitely, like, I could definitely see that for sure.
To remove all except the first two and the last sentences. That version has remained on his YouTube channel since then. The video containing all of the offending passage was downloaded in the periods that it was online by over 500,000 people, including over 20,000 in Australia. Since then, over 8,000 comments have been made on the video, including at least 396 that, it may be said, accused Mr. Mitchell of causing Apollo Legend to commit suicide and even called him a murderer, evil, and a scumbag. Similar comments have also been made on videos by other publishers on YouTube.
I do wonder
or
if these
other online
the
media.
judges have to like sit and watch the
most
video. By the way,
recent, that has been brought
I
to
would
my
love for them to
attention
do a
having
live
been
reaction.
made in early 2024. In this action, Mr. Mitchell sues Mr. Jobst for defamation, claiming $400,000 in general damages and $50,000 in aggravated damages. Mr. Mitchell contends that the video, but particularly the passage that I have read, made 5 defamatory imputations about him. Those imputations were: first, Mr. Mitchell had required Apollo Legend to pay him a large amount of money to settle Mr. Mitchell's defamation claim against him.
Which is by far the strongest case here. Yeah, no, if you're making a claim like that, it really changes the perspective on everything.
Which caused Apollo Legend to go into considerable debt and to take on extra work to survive. Secondly, a major contributing factor in Apollo Legend's decision to take his own life was Mr. Mitchell's requirement that Apollo Legend pay him a large sum of money to settle the defamation claim. Third,
I feel like you're splitting hairs there, but okay, I guess.
Mitchell had hounded Apollo Legend to death.
What do you think about this, Chaos? Like, these are the specific points that he's being sued for, so these right here.
Fourth, Mr. Mitchell was the main cause, or alternatively a cause, of Apollo Legend taking his own life. And fifth, Mr. Mitchell's conduct was a contributing factor in...
Again, I feel like he's splitting. I get it, though. I get why they're doing it, right? If one wording doesn't get through, the other wording might get through. But, so I guess I understand.
Apollo Legend taking his own life. Mr. Jobst denied that the imputations alleged by Mr. Mitchell were made in the video. I have found that the video made each of those defamatory imputations. Mr. Jobst also defended the claim on a number of other grounds. First, he alleged that Mr. Mitchell had a pre-existing bad reputation that meant that any of the defamatory imputations alleged would not have harmed him. That reputation, Mr. Jobst alleged, was threefold. First, Mr. Mitchell had cheated to gain recognition as the highest or one of the highest scorers in Donkey Kong. Secondly, he had used litigation processes to coerce others to recognise him as a world record holder in Donkey Kong and to refrain from identifying him as a person who had been found to have cheated at video arcade games. And third, that he would ostracise anyone he considered a threat to his world records in Donkey Kong. As to his alleged pre-existing bad reputation, I have found that Mr. Mitchell did have a reputation as a cheat in Donkey Kong and a reputation for suing people who alleged that he was a cheat. I have found that he did not have a reputation for ostracising anyone he considered a threat to his achievements.
Okay, very interesting. I mean, fair. Could totally agree with the judge on that. I can't really, yeah, no, totally fair. I'm glad at least he specified, because it seemed like Mitchell was trying to, it seems like Billy was trying to slide those in there at the last second, like I mean, technically these are all lies, right? It's like, no. The first two are not lies. The last one, technically a lie, yeah, sure. Like, we can't, definitely not, you had no reputation for that, for
Mr. Jobs,
being like a, you know, I get it, for sure.
Principle
But he absolutely already had the reputation of being a cheat.
Was that the video made 5 other defamatory imputations, each of which was substantially true, and as a result of which, the imputations about which Mr. Mitchell complains did not cause any greater harm to him or his reputation. Those imputations, which are referred to in defamation law in Queensland as contextual imputations, were: first, Mr. Mitchell was publicly exposed as having cheated to achieve his record scores in Donkey Kong. Second, Mr. Mitchell was banned from submitting scores to Twin Galaxies for cheating. Third, Mr. Mitchell had planned to create a video that he could use fraudulently as evidence that he had achieved the score of 1,062,800 in Donkey Kong. Fourth, Mr. Mitchell had callously expressed joy at the thought of Apollo Legends' death. And fifth, Mr. Mitchell used litigation to force third parties to recognise his achievements in video gaming. I have found
Sip
that
that
all
water,
of
King.
those contextual imputations were made in the video. All but one of them were substantially true. It was not true that he had planned.
Interesting. So he basically said all of them but one. Which was the one that he
to produce
disagreed
a
with?
fraudulent video. To be clear, I was not required to decide, nor did I decide, whether Mr. Mitchell had in fact cheated in gaining any of his world record scores.
Yeah, like he's not there to basically be like the video's true or not true. He's just there to see whether that video exists and whether the claim that it does exist or does not exist is true. So he's not
Mr.
arguing
Jobst
whether
did not
the validity
attempt
of the
to
video
prove
is there.
That finding by Twin Galaxies was correct.
No, I gotta admit, Karl Jobst definitely did not explain the like finer details of what he was being sued over. But at the same time, I can't say Karl Jobst was lying about what he was being sued over, because in my perspective, this is absolutely about like freedom of speech to a certain degree. It's a very
Notwithstanding
slippery
these
slope
findings,
to be like.
I have concluded that
It's a very slippery slope to say, like, I think this person suing them may have affected their overall mental health. But it's a whole different situation to say, I think this person messed with his mental health because you put him in debt. Like, that's different. Now you're adding on top. You get me? You're adding more to it.
the defamatory imputations made by Mr. Jobst that are the subject of Mr. Mitchell's claim have caused substantial additional damage to Mr. Mitchell's reputation and have caused him considerable additional distress. Therefore, Mr. Jobst is liable to pay damages to Mr. Mitchell for those defamatory imputations. I shall come shortly to the amount of those damages. Mr. Mitchell also asserted that Mr. Jobst's conduct in publishing the video, and after doing so, was unjustifiable and caused additional personal hurt to Mr. Mitchell and harm to his reputation, which justifies the court awarding additional damages known as aggravated damages. This conduct, alleged by Mr. Mitchell, included first making the allegations recklessly and without checking.
So, I believe against Apollo, it was a lot more that case. In this instance, it seemed like he tried to definitely put all that in there to make it so that he could say, I won the case, I won this case, which is some BS for sure. But he technically is correct in that specifically adding in all these extra parameters to why potentially Apollo unalived himself. I can see how the judge, like, agreed with Billy on that. But Billy, I can see, but at the same time, Billy tried to add a whole lot of BS to this, like, oh, he also tried to say that I was a cheater at Donkey Kong. It's like, yeah, you are. Even the judge is like, you are. Like, it's been recognized that you've been banned by Twin Galaxies. It's been recognized that you have been publicly, you know, outed, so to speak. Like, you're not gonna, you get what I'm saying? So the judge is really trying to clarify that this has nothing to do with whether or not he's a cheater, just with whether or not
Secondly,
Karl Jobst made those statements, and whether those statements would have technically affected Mitchell's, I guess, financial well-being, I guess, to a certain degree. But at the same time, bro, your career was already ruined because of other reasons. It's not like Karl saying that in any way, realistically, it's not like Karl Jobst saying that. What I feel like, nobody was like, oh, bro, I was about to buy that Billy Mitchell shirt from Twin Galaxies, but then Karl Jobst, said that he was the, oh, man, like, nobody was about to buy a freaking Billy Mitchell merchandise. And then suddenly it's like, but Karl said that it was because of Apollo, and I just don't see that personally.
Twice. Thirdly, holding malice and pursuing a vendetta against Mr. Mitchell. Fourthly, mocking.
I feel like Billy could have absolutely called him out on all this on Twitter, like with an actual good argument, and people would have given him a lot more credit, as opposed to what he did here.
Mr. Mitchell's complaint about the video and his legal action. Fifthly, persisting in his contention that Mr. Mitchell's action against Apollo legend had contributed to his decision to commit suicide. And sixthly, failing to apologize.
But you are right, Chaos. I kind of still feel like in the U.S., Karl Jobst would have won.
That Mr. Jobst was reckless in making the allegations. His assertions were based on a fallacy, namely that Apollo legend had paid Mr. Mitchell a large sum of money. That was simply wrong, and he had no reasonable basis for asserting it. Yet even after finding out the truth, he has continued to assert that the settlement had a negative financial impact on Apollo legend, and that he still believes that the settlement was a contributing factor to his decision to commit suicide.
And honestly, I think right there that's the biggest freaking mistake Karl did here. I feel like if Karl would have come out and said clearly and concisely, hey, I said this in my video, and maybe he did. If you guys know or seen that, please show it to me. Please send me the footage. If Karl came out and sort of made that correction, I feel like maybe even the judge would have had a different opinion here, potentially. But I feel like that makes it seem almost malicious. If it wasn't, right? I'm not gonna assume nothing here.
Mr. Jobst was also reckless and vindictive in publishing the full video twice. At the time he republished it, he had been told by Mr. Mitchell via his response video, by their mutual acquaintance Keemstar, and by Mr. Mitchell's lawyers that what he had said about the payment was not true. He told Keemstar that he would not republish that part of the video unless he received concrete evidence that it was true.
Shout out to Keemstar, though, with the fact checks, though. People talk about Keemstar's fact-checking ability.
By the time he republished it, he had not heard from Apollo legend's brother, whom he had asked for information about the settlement, so he did not know any more than he had.
I love how slowly but surely Keemstar has gone from, like, one of those people I used to meme on to slowly becoming, like, one of the only people that I'm just like, you know what? He speaks his mind. I like this guy, kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, just a little...
He nevertheless decided to publish the entire video regardless. In his evidence, he said that he did this because he thought Mr. Mitchell would sue him anyway. His attitude appears to have been, well, if I'm going to be sued, I may as well go for broke and damn the consequences. It was reckless and showed an absolute disregard for the truth or for the effect of his video on Mr. Mitchell and his reputation. On 29 July 2021, that is about 6 weeks after he finally edited the video and took out the offending passage, Mr. Jobst published a video in which he retracted his statement that Apollo Legend had paid Mr. Mitchell money, and he apologised to his viewers for having given them incorrect information.
Then what the hell, Judge?
At the trial, he relied on that video as being evidence of his bona fides and as reducing any harm caused to Mr. Mitchell.
I feel like he definitely Karl Jobst should have taken down the videos where he said that or edited that piece out, you know, like, for sure. But he made a freaking statement retracting. He apologized and retracted his statement. What the hell, Australia?
That video did not retract the imputations at all. It simply retracted the statement that Apollo Legend had paid Mr. Mitchell a large sum of money. Mr. Jobst did not apologize to Mr. Mitchell in any way.
Yeah, but in that same vein, earlier you said that, well, it was said that all the, I forgot what the hell term he used for it, but all the complaints were based on the fact, or based around the basis, so to speak, that Apollo was paying him money, right? So if he clarified that, I feel like doesn't that just logically tell you, oh, then more than likely none of what he mentioned about Apollo, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, he retracted the fact that Apollo was paying him any kind of money, so of course that would logically be like, oh, then more than likely he didn't have, Billy had very, very little to do with this situation. But you can't argue that a lawsuit, a major lawsuit like this, especially one attacking his, you know, financial stability on YouTube. Hello, welcome to the YouTube. Like, you can't argue that that would not have stressed him the hell out. That's stressful. That's stressful for even major YouTubers that don't really have to worry about their financial situation anymore.
Statement in the offending video. Also, this retraction video was, in total, a little over 30 minutes long. For the first 28 minutes and 24 seconds, it had nothing to do with arcade gaming, cheating, or Mr. Mitchell, but was about
yeah, because again, they found all that stuff to be pretty factual.
Particular speedrunning, type of speedrunning. It then went blank for a few seconds before it returned with Mr. Jobs' alleged retraction statement, which itself lasted only about 45 seconds. Even then, he wrongly said that Mr. Mitchell had not tried to contact him to clear up the error, and he insinuated that he still believed Mr. Mitchell was responsible for Apollo Legend's decision. Finally, Mr. Jobs' conduct of this litigation, together with his additional online comments about it.
So it was done very shittily. Agreed. I still feel like that's a retraction, though.
Were aggravating features of his conduct. He seems to see himself in defending this claim as a crusader against Mr. Mitchell. He is the last of the defendants who have been sued by...
I don't know. You could definitely argue that it was maybe a shitty retraction. Got it? Maybe maliciously edited to make it, like, less noticeable. For sure. Absolutely. But if he says that his initial opinion that the stress caused by Billy Mitchell in the lawsuit still played a role in Apollo's self-unaliving, I feel like that's an opinion you should be allowed to have. I don't know. You know what I mean? Should you not be allowed to have that opinion? Regardless of whether the guy was, like, paying the guy money or not?
In February 2024, as this action was progressing toward trial, he said in an online interview, quote, "Billy Mitchell needs to be destroyed in court. These people need to be punished in a big way before they stop. They need to get taught a lesson. So I am now the last chance. I am the last chance the public has to punish Billy. And also, the last person on YouTube you want to lose to is me. You know there's going to be 100 vids rubbing it in. I will never let Billy forget this, assuming I win. I've got to win first, but man, if I win, oh boy, I'm not going to be a good winner.
Oh hell yeah, bro! That's that content brain. Let's go.
End quote. Mr. Jobst
Yeah, you should just assume that from any YouTuber. Kids, welcome to content farms.
clearly intended to be the knight who slew the Mitchell dragon. Unfortunately for him, his lance was not as strong as he believed it to be, and it has broken in the contest. I have found that all of this conduct has caused Mr. Mitchell additional personal harm and additional harm to his reputation. It was severely aggravating conduct that merits an award.
His severely harmed his personal reputation as a video game cheater. Awesome, yeah, sure.
Of aggravated damages.
That flawless
Again, I will
reputation he
consult
had.
the amount of aggravated damages that I will award. I was asked by each party to make adverse findings about the truthfulness of the other party's witnesses and the reliability or otherwise of their evidence. In my full reasons, I have given detailed consideration to those submissions. I don't propose to reprise that discussion and my conclusions now. Mr. Associate, can I have the judgment, please? Having made these findings, I consider that Mr. Mitchell is entitled to an award of damages against Mr. Jobst. I have considered other comparative cases in order to help me to decide the appropriate amount. Under the Defamation Act of Queensland, the maximum amount of damages for non-economic loss, that is general damages, not including any aggravated damages, is currently $478,500. That amount can only be awarded in the most serious case. In addition, though, in appropriate cases, additional aggravated damages can be awarded, and there is no statutory limit on aggravated damages. Mr. Jobst contended that for a number of reasons, any damages I award should be minimal, or at least reduced, due to two mitigating factors. One of those factors was that he published the so-called retraction video. For the reasons I've already mentioned about that video, I do not consider that it had any mitigatory effect. Rather, publishing the retraction at the time and in the manner he did was an aggravating feature of his conduct. He did not publish it in a way that would draw it to the attention of the original audience, but instead essentially hid it from view. And of course, he did not retract any of the imputations against Mr. Mitchell, nor apologise to him. The second reason he gave for mitigation...
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. He didn't say sorry. That's pretty important, right? Like we gotta just make sure we understand. Right? He didn't say sorry as well. On top of all, of course, right?
of damages was that Mr.
So understood. If you're gonna make a retraction statement, make sure it's obvious as hell. Nux, I'm looking at you with the whole, Bunga Tiger situation. Maybe make an entire video just dedicated to the retraction. Nuts. Nuts. Maybe make one video. I'm actually a big fan. I'm actually really genuinely coughing. But please make a definitely. And I've actually said this. I have to mention this because I've said this about that whole situation. I always say that you should make a retraction video that is its own video. It's very obvious what the premise of the video is, and to just make it like a good length video. Like, it doesn't have to be a freaking ginormous thing, but it's gotta be something. It's gotta be like a good explanation of the situation, a correction of the situation, and an apology, and then take down the old video, or make corrections, like edit out that segment. So I gotta say, I would be a hypocrite if I did not call that out. I have said in the past that retraction statements like this, or situations where you have to correct yourself, it should either be a big deal. You should make it. How do you say? Very obvious in the moment, or you should like come out and make a full blown like statement, so to speak. Like it needs to be a statement. Like I don't know how else to explain it, but like the YouTube commentary version of you need to make a statement. The same way any YouTuber would come out like, guys, there's an update to the channel, big things are happening. It should be that vibe where you're like, hey, chat, or audience, my chat, my subscribers, you know. Yeah, it's not about Billy Mitchell cheating whatsoever. But to be fair, Karl Jobst wasn't really. Yeah, it was like Karl Jobst did not necessarily say it was about Billy Mitchell cheating, but he did say it was about Billy Mitchell snuffing out his freedom of expression. Which, technically, he's not wrong here, right? But at the same time, very misleading. Definitely misleading. Yeah, it's specifically because Karl Jobst insinuated that Apollo may have ended his himself due to the amount of debt he was in by Billy Mitchell's lawsuit, which Billy Mitchell did sue him basically for criticizing him or for reporting on his cheating. However, Karl really made it worse for himself by making a 45-second retraction statement where he basically says, you know, he sort of doubles down that Billy was probably the main cause of Apollo taking his own life. And on top of that, like, again, like, just make it a whole statement. Like, there's no reason for you to make it a 45-second thing at the end. I have to agree with the judge there. It's unsatisfactory. If not for, like, just generic stuff, at least for legal protection, make a satisfactory corrections, please. And frankly, this kinda, even though it's in Australia, it's kinda like one of those things where it's like, it's a double-sided sword. I can see a lot of people that I would love to see basically slapped on the wrist with this, but also I can see so many people get slapped with this that are not deserving of this kind of situation. You get what I'm saying? I want to agree with this, but I also don't want to agree with this because I feel like you should be allowed to your opinion at a certain point. There's something to be said for if you make a bad response. I feel like the court should definitely be in their rights to be like, hey, no, you need to make a formal statement apologizing and correcting yourself. That's fair. That's more than fair, right? But to $350K just seems.
Mr. Mitchell, he said, has contributed to substantially
That's too damn
the harm
much.
he has suffered because he put the offending part of Mr.
And the
Jobst
fact that at the end he also adds the fact that he said he also didn't say sorry, like it's just it blows my mind.
Into his response video.
Just a
saying,
cherry on top,
quote,
right?
For those of you who haven't seen it, here's the clip, end quote. Mr. Mitchell's video showing that clip has remained online ever since. It has been downloaded at least 155,000 times. As I say in my reasons, this submission might be described as suggesting that Mr. Mitchell called in an airstrike on his own position. I disagree. Both by making the response video and by bringing this proceeding against Mr. Jobst. Far from calling in an airstrike on his own position, it was necessary for Mr. Mitchell and reasonable for Mr. Mitchell to identify the enemy's position clearly in order to call in an airstrike.
I was about to say, I didn't want to say it because I don't want, you know, because then suddenly I'm going to be like him with Asmongold, right? How anytime anything happens, Hassan has to bring up Asmongold. But it's kind of like, yeah, like Hassan Piker blasts off false, like, fake BS nonstop all day, every day. So many people here in the United States, but at the same time, I can't see, I wouldn't be like, oh, ban him off the platform, freaking charge him $350K, like, I couldn't see that happening. I could definitely see the platform being like, hey, you're gonna get a temporary ban, or even just like, I would prefer the platforms be like, hey, if you don't make a correction statement and apologize, you know, then suddenly, because if it's like factually incorrect, or you know what I'm saying? But still,
that is what he has done.
I don't really believe in bans or punishment for just opinions.
He denied the imputations made by Mr. Jobst, and
Cause the fact that he admitted that Karl corrected it in one way or another, the fact that Karl corrected the statement and then specify that even regardless of the fact that there was no debt, he still feels like Billy Mitchell had, in some way, shape, or form, an emotional effect on him, and may have caused him to end himself. I feel like you should be allowed to have that opinion.
What Mr. Jobst had said was false. His conduct in publishing this video was reasonable, and it does not justify any reduction in the amount of damages. Factors particularly relevant in determining the appropriate amount of damages include the number and seriousness of the defamatory imputations, the extent of their publication, the effects they have had on the plaintiff personally and on his reputation, and what is known as
the effects they had on his reputation as a cheater?
Grapevine effect. The grapevine effect is the likelihood that the defamatory imputations have been and will be repeated to other people over time, and they may even surface again after this judgment. The grapevine effect arises particularly in cases of defamatory imputations made on social media or other internet sites, including YouTube. In this case, there is ample evidence of the extent of the grapevine effect. It has been very extensive. The evidence is the number of comments on Mr. Jobs' video, and also comments made on another online personality's videos about Mr. Mitchell.
He's right. I'm glad he brought this up, because it's 100% true, though. He's 100% correct on this. Because it's not only Karl Jobs' video, and like what control he has over that video, but think about when I react to that video, and then people comment on my video. People got that narrative from my video. That is the grapevine effect. I am glad he brought this up, though. He is correct about that. I have to agree there.
Recently included assertions that Mr. Mitchell had.
I just don't see a lot of people bring that up. You get what I'm saying?
Contributed to Apollo Legends' suicide.
Let me.
The amount of damage.
I need to hear that specifically again. What do you say?
Mitchell had caused or contributed to Apollo Legends' suicide. On another online personality's videos about Mr. Mitchell, which even recently included assertions that Mr. Mitchell had caused or contributed to Apollo Legends' suicide.
Which again, at this point, we have the understanding that Karl, at the very least, made a statement saying that even if there was no debt, no payments being made from Apollo to Billy, he still believed that trial had an effect on him. How is that not okay to have that opinion? That's what I'm sort of getting lost here.
Coming to the amount of damages that I will award, Mr. Mitchell
don't got them America freedoms, huh, Chaos?
Damages. That is,
it's a damn shame!
Damages for non-economic loss, as it is described in the Defamation Act. In my view, that is too high, being too close to the maximum permissible amount. This is not one of the most serious cases, although it is at the higher end, especially given the most damaging imputation that Mr. Mitchell hounded Apollo Legend to death and the extent of publication. Mr. Mitchell's aggravating conduct has been serious and ongoing, including in his evidence at trial and in his publications about this litigation. It merits substantial aggravated damages, and Mr. Mitchell asked for $50,000 in aggravated damages. I have concluded that there should be judgment for Mr. Mitchell.
Again, I will say, although I don't agree with the first part of that, I agree that the extent of which the information spread can absolutely and should play a role in it. I just don't agree that it's wrong for him to have and then hold that opinion, especially knowing that he had made a correction on the circumstances of his opinion and still said he felt like it affected him. You get what I'm saying? Because I feel like in order to prove that it did not affect him, like, you can't prove whether it did or did not affect him. You get what I'm saying?
$300,000 for non.
Maybe that works in reverse against me too. You get what I'm saying? But I don't know. I don't get it.
As I say in my reasons, he may well have been justified in. And
to be clear, I feel like you should be making an entire video correcting yourself, right? I just don't think you should be able to be sued to oblivion for it. Like, that's so freaking ridiculous to me.
$50,000 in aggravated damages, but that is the amount sought by
Like, come on, Australia, don't y'all got spiders to worry about? What is this?
Mr. Mitchell, and that is
Y'all
the
got
amount I
poisonous
shall award.
crabs over there. What the hell is this?
In addition, Mr. Jobs should pay interest on those amounts.
I'm not joking. Look it up. They have
Unless I
poisonous
receive
crabs. Not poisonous,
submissions for
venomous.
some other
Venomous.
authorised
If they, I
interest,
think it's if they
it
pinch you
seems
or
to
something like
me
that, or if they
from
poke you or something.
Other cases,
Venomous or
that the
poisonous, something, bro.
appropriate rate and
Don't the
period of
crabs will
interest
kill
be
you.
3% per annum from the first date of publication to today. That amounts to a total of $40,446.
I would love to go to Australia because I love Australia people, but I'll never go
Finally,
there actually.
Ordinarily an unsuccessful
I want
party
all the Australian people to come here to the US to hang out, but I don't want to go to Australia ever in my life. Like, I don't want to set foot there. Like, I don't even want to. Like, I would rather get like I'm not gonna say this is an exaggeration before somebody on Twitter takes it too far. I would rather jump off the freaking plane, like and freaking swim back if you freaking tell me I'm on a plane headed to Australia.
is ordered
Screw
to
you.
pay successful
I'll
parties'
deal with the
costs of
sharks and the
proceeding.
Loch Ness monsters.
At present, I see no reason why I should
I'm getting
not
back
make
to the
such
US.
an
I'm not
order
going no
against
freaking
Mr.
Australia.
Jobst. However, I shall give the
Hell no.
parties an opportunity to
Love the
seek an
people.
alternative
Never going to
cost
Australia.
order, either now or by written submissions to be provided within 14 days, but preferably now.
Or Brazil.
The judgment of the court.
I'm
is
sorry, I love
therefore
Brazil. Just I
one.
heard that there's spiders as big as a
Judgment for the
person.
plaintiff
I'm
for
done.
Damages for non-economic
I'm
loss
out.
in the sum
No.
of $300,000 plus interest, subject to either party seeking a different order as to interest upon delivery.
They got
of the
spiders that eat
judgment or
monkeys
by
over there.
filing and
No.
Serving a written submission within 14 days.
I'm getting
of
distracted, but I'm sorry. It's just
$34,668.50. Judgment also for aggravated damages in the sum of $50,000, plus interest of $5,778.08, subject to either party seeking a different order as to interest upon delivery of this judgment or by filing and serving a written submission within 14 days. 2. Unless either party seeks a different order as to costs, either upon delivery of this judgment or by filing and serving a written submission within 14 days, the defendant pay the plaintiff's costs of this proceeding. I published my reasons together with a short summary of those reasons. Both documents will be publicly available shortly on the Queensland Court's website. Are there any submissions on questions of interest and costs?
I'm in a position to make submissions on costs.
listen. The rest of this is basically gonna be them breaking down the finer details, of the verdict. But
Today, the plaintiff's position was firstly cost should follow the event. That's implicit in what you're
we'll kind of see what questions they're gonna be asking here. But I might skip ahead a little bit.
Basis, or alternatively on the standard basis. Can I start by taking your honour to section 40 of the Defamation Act, please?
Do you have a copy there? I haven't brought it with me.
So I picked
Thank you.
one or two copies.
Just one.
Damn, didn't even bring a copy with him, bro. Didn't even bring a copy with him, bro.
Thank you.
Now I'm just trying to piss off all the Billy Mitchell defenders.
And particularly, Your Honour, section 42, section 40 sub 2 sub A is relevant in the circumstances. Or otherwise.
Yeah, alright. They're pretty much just gonna be figuring out.
Yeah. Is there any evidence that there's no such settlement offer?
Well, Your Honour, there was one offer made in the proceedings. Can I hand up a copy of that to you? In terms of that, I'll hand up 2 copies, a working copy for Your Honour.
Thank you. The settlement offer.
Do lawyers have to
being
wear
a
that
letter
suit? What
from
is this?
Mills Oakley
Is that like a thing in Australia?
to Milabu Samra lawyers on 23 May 2022 will be Exhibit 96 in the trial.
Thank you. Before making submissions on that document, can I hand up to Your Honour 2 relevant authorities, the principles applicable to Section 40? First is Nationwide News Proprietary Limited and Weather Up. It's
Yeah, I think this is pretty much just gonna be like all the finer details being sorted out.
Start at paragraph through to 12.
We kind of know. Yeah, no, to be completely honest, we knew Billy was a cheater. It should have ended there. I feel like Karl, to a certain degree, shot himself in the foot by effectively dying on this hill. At the same time, I don't know. It's a tricky one, dude. It's a tricky one because I still don't agree with the like. It's like I understand where the judge is coming from, but I just don't. I don't freaking agree with the fact that if you have that kind of an opinion, that I don't believe you should be able to get sued to oblivion for that. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like you should be able to. He made the correction, whether it was like, again, I would even have been fine with the judge for demanding a public apology, and I'm pretty sure you could do that. Well, then again, what the hell do I know, right? I'm not Australian or a lawyer, but I like it. But I feel like it's such an exaggerated freaking charge for that, especially knowing that Karl's opinion doesn't really change or make any difference whether or not Apollo was being paid. You get me? He still believes that Billy Mitchell was a big stress point for Apollo. Now, I do agree that it was very irresponsible to not make a full apology, like a good one, but I don't feel like it fits the crime. I don't feel like the charge fits the crime there, but it is what it is. The judge is made his decision. I'm not gonna control any of that. You wanna know whose opinion I really want to know? Because my opinion is gonna be like, what the frick? You know, what do I know? I'm a tech monkey. I kind of want to know what what Legal Eagle and other actual authorities on the matter would say in comparison to a U.S. court. How they believe this would have gone. You get what I'm saying? Of course, nobody's gonna be able to tell for sure. Like, who the hell knows, right? You might just get one judge who just particularly doesn't like YouTubers or something, you know? But, I'm not saying this is the case here, but what I'm saying is you just never know who you're gonna get as a judge. But generally speaking, I want to kind of know somebody who's a lot more in the know about these sort of things, or someone with a lot more life experience with court cases and stuff like this, what they think an American court would look like in this similar trial. But it's very interesting. I think you're right though, Chaos. Because 100%, I feel like at the very least in American courts, freedom of speech, stuff like that, is a lot more absolutist here. It's a lot more absolutist here. Who knows though? Who knows? I would love to hear some legal, actual legal authorities' opinions on this. If anybody who happens to watch this video, let me know. I'll try to put this up as quickly as I can. And I will try to see if there's anybody, if you guys know of any YouTubers from Australia that are also, lawyers. Or, if you know any articles or any interviews or anything like that on a website article, a newspaper article, anything like that, let me know, send it over my way on the Discord, and then we can check that out as well. Next time on Friday, this Friday. Thanks for hanging out. Like or dislike, comment, and subscribe, and become a Monodachi today! I live stream all day, Monday through Friday, so go say hi! That's all for now, Monos. Goodbye, and thanks for swinging by. Salut!